Will the housing market crash in 2026? Here is what you need to know. If you've been waiting for a housing market crash before buying a home, you are definitely not alone. I hear this question all the time. People ask me, should I wait? Are home prices about to fall? So let's talk about it. I'm not here to make sensational predictions or scare anyone. I am here to explain what I'm actually seeing as a Colorado real estate agent and a loan officer who's helping buyers and sellers every day. Could the market change? Absolutely. But if we are talking about a major nationwide housing crash like we saw in 2008, here's what would actually have to happen. One of the biggest misconceptions is that high interest rates automatically cause home prices to crash, and that is not how it works. A true housing crash will happen when a large number of homeowners can no longer afford their mortgage payments. If enough people lose their jobs, cannot make their payments, and are forced to sell or go into foreclosure, inventory floods the market. And when supply suddenly outweighs demand, prices can fall quickly. And that's what happened during the crisis years ago. So whenever someone asks me whether we are headed for another crash, that's the first thing I'm looking at. One of the biggest reasons that today's market looks different is that millions of homeowners locked in historically low mortgage rates over the last several years. Many people have interest rates below 5%, and that means their monthly mortgage payments are relatively affordable compared to someone buying today. So when people have affordable payments and stable jobs, they're much less likely to sell just because interest rates have gone up. In fact, many homeowners are choosing to stay put instead of giving up those low mortgage rates. That's one reason inventory has remained relatively tight in many areas. Now, does that mean prices cannot soften in certain cities? Of course not. Real estate is always local. Some markets are stronger than others. But nationally, today's housing market is very different from what we experienced before 2008. What I'm watching is, could things change? Absolutely. No one has a crystal ball, but there are a few things that we can watch closely. First is employment. If we started seeing widespread job losses, that could put pressure on homeowners. Second, foreclosure rates. If foreclosures begin rising dramatically, that would be another warning sign. And third is overall affordability. If homeowners simply could not make their mortgage payments anymore, we'd likely see more homes hitting the market. Those are the types of indicators that matter much more than headlines saying interest rates went up or home prices dipped for a month. And let's talk about why energy prices matter. Another thing I pay attention to is the overall economy, including energy prices. Now, I'm not saying oil prices alone determine the housing market. They do not, but energy affects almost everything we buy. Construction materials have to be manufactured, products have to be shipped, building supplies have to be transported. When transportation costs increase, businesses often pass those costs along to consumers. And that is why I always look at the bigger economic picture, not just mortgage rates. Housing does not exist in a bubble. It's connected to what's happening throughout the economy. Now let me share something that I think doesn't get talked about enough. I meet homeowners all the time who tell me, I would love to move, but I have too much debt. Maybe it's credit cards, maybe it's a vehicle payment, maybe it's an RV or a boat. Here's what many people do not realize. If you've built equity in your current home, you may be able to use part of that equity strategically when you sell. For example, let's say you have $150,000 in equity. Instead of putting every dollar towards your next home's down payment, you may decide to use some of that equity to pay off high interest debt during closing. And why does this matter? Because lenders qualify you based on your debt to income ratio. So if you've eliminated several monthly debt payments before purchasing your next home, you may qualify for more than you expected. Or your monthly payment on your next home may be much closer to your current payment than you thought. I've seen this help a lot of homeowners who assumed they could not afford to move. Now, every situation is different, but it's definitely worth exploring with your lender before deciding to stay put. Do not assume you cannot buy or sell. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make, is assuming the math will not work without actually running the numbers. I've had buyers who thought they needed to wait years. Then when we looked at their finances, explored different loan options, adjusted the down payment strategy, and suddenly home ownership became possible. I've also worked with sellers who believed moving would dramatically increase their monthly payment. But after paying off debt with some of their equity, their new payment ended up being very manageable. And that's why personalized advice matters. Every situation is different. So here's my takeaway. Could home prices level off in some markets? Absolutely. Could some cities see price declines? Yes. Could other areas continue appreciating? Also yes. Real estate is local, but if you are waiting for a massive nationwide housing crash before making a move, today's market simply is not showing the same warning signs that existed before the last housing crash. So instead of trying to perfectly time the market, Focus on whether buying or selling makes sense for your financial goals. And that's almost always the better question. So if you're wondering whether now is the right time to buy or sell or refinance, I would be happy to help. As both a real estate broker and loan officer, I can help you understand your financing options, look at your numbers, and build a strategy that fits your goals. If you're here in Colorado, I would love to help you personally. And if you're moving anywhere else in the country, I can connect you with an experienced real estate agent that does business just like me. So just click that link below, fill out the short form, and I personally get back to you within 24 hours. If you found this video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you'd give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel and share it with someone who's wondering what the housing market is really doing in 2026. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
I can put you in a house on a hill, put you in a condo in the city, put you in a mansion. Put you in a mansion in Miami. Put you in a mansion in Beverly Hills. Put you in a mansion. I can put you in a mansion. I can put you in a mansion.